Every story appears ordinary until you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Hello there, very good evening to you. Welcome to CoreTV Primetime News. I am Gift Ogete. In our major stories, President Goodluck Jonathan meets with the President of Mali, Muhammadu Keita, in continuation of consultations to solve the problems of insurgency. Also in this program, PDP candidate in next month's governorship election in Ekiti State, Ayo Fayose, and Commissioner of Police, Felix Uyana, trade words or trade blame over recurrent violence ahead poll. Former Osun State Governor Isiaka Adeleke finally dumps PDP for the All Progressives Congress. And outside Nigeria, the leader of South Sudan's rebel, former Vice President Riek Machar, describes crisis in his country as a senseless war, restates commitment to peace. Good to have you join us again. I am Gift Ogete. Now details of the news headlines and other stories. President Goodluck Jonathan has met with the President of Mali, Muhammadu Keita, in continuation of consultations to solve the problems of insurgency in northern Mali and northeastern Nigeria. The meeting was held behind closed doors at the presidential villa, Abuja. While addressing State House correspondent after the meeting, Keita says he has come to meet with his Nigerian counterpart on the issue of insecurity and to see what both nations can do jointly to crop the problem. It will be recalled that Jonathan, Keita and other ECOWAS leaders had met on the same issue in Accra, Ghana on Friday. The president also met with some clerics from Senegal led by Khalifa Sheikh Ahmed Tijani Inyas, the grandson of late Shehu Tijani Ibrahim Inyas, the founder of the Tijaniya sect. The cleric came on the invitation of Jonathan, who is under increasing pressure from within and outside the country over the abducted Chibok schoolgirls and spate of killings by the Boko Haram sect. The group of clerics, numbering about 10, met with the president for about an hour, during which they offered prayers for peace and stability in Nigeria. Meanwhile, Jonathan has condemned the killing of the Emir of Gwaza, Idrissa Timta, by Boko Haram. Special advisor to the president on media and publicity, Ruben Abati, disclosed this in an interview with the State House correspondent in Abuja. He says the president got the news and was sad about it. He had also spoken about those who were willing to renounce terrorism and those who were willing to embrace peace. According to him, opportunities have been created for them through the Presidential Committee on Dialogue and Peaceful Resolutions of Conflict in the northeastern parts of Nigeria. It will be recalled that in the broadcast, the president had directed the security forces to launch a full-scale operation to put an end to the impunity of terrorism in the country. The president stressed that the unity and stability of the country and the protection of lives and property were non-negotiable. The AU has announced plans to engage the federal government and other stakeholders in a meeting in a fresh move to rescue the more than 200 schoolgirls abducted by Boko Haram in Chibok, Borno. The AU Special Convoy for Women, Peace and Stability, Benita Diop, made a disclosure at the House of the Conference of Ministers of Social Development in Addis Ababa. Diop, who is to lead a delegation to Abuja next Monday, is to intimate the federal government on the new approach to rescue the girls. The envoy, who addressed the meeting on AU's efforts to secure the girls, says the continental body would continue to evolve mechanisms to protect the girl child through robust policies on education, among others. The AU ministers, under the auspices of the 4th Conference on Social Development, convened with stakeholders to review efforts towards ending child marriage in Africa. As Nigerians eagerly await the translation of President Jonathan's Democracy Day declaration of total war on terror to action, public analysts have called on the people to cooperate with government to end insurgency. Chuka Nnabuife and Douglas Anele stated this said that it is part of civic responsibility to assist in solving national crisis. They disclosed this during their visit to our Lagos studios. Omotaya Law has details.
Evidently from the incessant terror attacks unleashed on the country by members of the deadly Boko Haram sect, security operatives in the country no doubt seem to be overwhelmed. The killing of over 55 students of the government college Buniyadi Yobe State and the abduction of over 200 girls from a secondary school in Chibok, Borno State have raised the eyebrow of the whole world to the burden the nation now bear in fighting terrorism. However, the government of Nigeria has declared an outright war on terror. Reacting to the declaration, Douglas Anele says the commitment of government to the war on terror is not strong enough.
Well, he was the one who went around the country asking Nigerians to vote for him, right? So, I mean, that is it. If you can't stand the heat, you leave the kitchen. Government must put Boko Haram under tremendous pressure so that they will be more favorably disposed for peace.
Criticizing the actions trailing incessant terror attacks, Chuka Nnabuife accused Nigerians of lack of patience in seeing an end to insurgency.
All manner of people have descended on us, looking for all manner. The activist is looking for money to organize one protest. He either gets it from this opposition party or from the mainstream party or from government. The security, so-called security expert is looking for one grant. The journalist is looking for one grant. The man in society is looking, they're not dividend of democracy. Wow. Is it not from the same cow that we are doing this suya? It is getting out of hand.
He stressed that lack of cooperation by the people has led to failure of government in adequately addressing the issues.
We are going overboard. We are being emotional. We are not being logical. We are being zany, a little bit frenzy, agitated like the light that the pampered infant on the lamp of the mother.
On the way forward, both analysts charge Nigerians on the role to play for peace to reign.
People should also cooperate with government. Government cannot do it alone. These Boko Haram people, they are human beings. They are not invisible. They eat, they drink, they perform the normal functions of a normal human being. People see them, they are not ghosts. So people should be willing to volunteer information to government that can help to arrest this situation.
It is a lose-lose game, you understand, if we continue to condemn the security operators, because they are our bastions, the fence to our exercising of our even freedom.
The end to insurgency many believe is close at hand. However, all hands must be on the plow to ensure proper synergy between the people and the government. Omotayo Alo, CoreTV News, Lagos.
Reactions continue to trail President Jonathan's declaration of outright war against insurgency and the offer of amnesty to repentant terrorists. Bido Koro, who went to town to feel the pulse of the nation on the issue, filed in this report.
Reactions continue to trail President Goodluck Jonathan's Democracy Day broadcast to the nation, directing security forces to launch a full-scale military operation to put an end to the insurgency in the country. Legal practitioners Femi Falana and Chukwemeka Eze, both in an exclusive chat with CoreTV News, berated the government on timeliness of the directive and the capacity of the nation's armed forces to carry out the operation.
The president didn't say anything new. The belief of the government is that there are some of the members of the satanic force that may want to lay down their arms and embrace amnesty, while the rest will have to be fought to stand still.
In his usual manner of doing the right thing a little bit late. This one is a little bit late. But I think he has succeeded in proving those that said we should handle Boko Haram with kid gloves wrong. Because many people have been saying you should pamper them, you should do this now.
the Nigerian Armed Forces have the capacity, having regard to the record of performance in peacekeeping operations around the world.
On the presidency's offer of amnesty to the members of Boko Haram, Falana agrees that it is a possible way out of the current terror attacks.
The last time government did that, the Boko Haram sect said it was the government that needed amnesty from them and not the other way around, because the government for them had committed grievous, iniquitous offenses against their members.
Examining the presidency's directive and offer of amnesty from a security perspective, Richard Amuwa, a security expert, advised for a cautious approach in order to prevent a reprisal attacks.
My question to Mr. President is that are we launching this, this full-scale war right, now with all these children with Boko Haram? If we are launching a full-scale war against Boko Haram at this time, the point here is that are we praying or are we working to bring these children back alive? Because sincerely, going full-scale war now will really, will not all go well.
With this president's declaration of total war against insurgency, Nigerians wait for the days ahead to reveal to them if they can go to sleep with their eyes closed. Bido Koro, CoreTV News, Lagos.
1 year after the federal government declared a state of emergency in the 3 northeastern states of Adamawa, Borno and Yobe, the continued spate of attacks has necessitated another extension. This is coming against the backdrop of an international intervention over the abduction of more than 200 schoolgirls in Chibok, Borno State. Frank Omalape in this report takes a look at the emergency rule in the 3 northeastern states 1 year after.
The state of emergency was first declared in May 2013 after attacks by Boko Haram reportedly claimed over 2,000 lives in gun and bomb attacks across northern Nigeria. The emergency rule was extended in November 8 of the same year when attacks by insurgents continued. Nigerians have continued to react to the incessant attacks that has been the target of innocent and defenseless people.
I think the security should provide more security in all the whole state, especially the northern areas. Because what is happening today is a kind of putting fears in everybody's mind. The common man is not safe, and even the rich man is not even safe. If the security would deploy more troops around the whole city.
Since he came into power, he inherited problems, crisis. And in a situation where there is crisis, it is difficult to achieve any meaningful development. And because it is only in a conducive atmosphere that what you plan, you can be able to machine them out.
Government should come out and tell us the truth. They know when all these things started. When it started in a smaller way, they know how to stop it, but they did not do anything about it because it is not affecting them directly. It is only the masses that is affected.
The Boko Haram insurgency climaxed with the abduction of over 200 schoolgirls from their dormitory in Chibok. The federal government sought for an extension of the emergency rule, which the 2 chambers of the National Assembly approved.
As read out by the leader of the Senate and seconded by the minority leader. Say aye. Aye. Again say nay. The ayes have it.
But some interest groups, including Arewa Consultative Forum and the Pan-Northern Socio-Political Organization, kicked against the extension, saying it was absolutely unnecessary to extend the emergency rule since it didn't solve the problem of insurgency. This second extension of the emergency rule is full of expectations from Nigerians to end the insurgency that is now at an all-time high. Frank Omalape, CoreTV News, Lagos.
You're watching CoreTV Prime Time News. The blame game on recurrent violence in Ekiti State continues. Find out what transpired between Fayose of the PDP and the State Commissioner of Police after the break.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ghana. Please remain seated and ensure your seatbelts are fastened. You can now turn on your MTN mobile phone data to enjoy a browsing rate of 5 kobo per kilobyte with MTN One World. Thank you.
Absolutely. Browse like home with MTN One World. Surfing the web from any MTN operating country costs the same like home. Enjoy affordable rates when you call and send text messages. Terms and conditions apply.
MTN. Everywhere you go.
This one wash challenge, you test Ariel to see if it removes stains in one wash. Let the challenge begin. First, chocolate and juice. We will wash shirts with Ariel. Look, Ariel has cleaned in just one wash. So which detergent removes stains in one wash? Ariel, P&G Everyday Quality Brand.
From time immemorial, women have birthed life, shaped character, and by extension, influenced the society. Moremi of Ife, Emoten of Benin, Queen Aminat of Zaria, all women of influence and power.
Whether it's before election, after election.
How ironical. Women being so powerful, yet have few grounds in decision making.
I see you as a wife, and I see you as a wife to a man.
We are talking women in politics.
A woman will be bold enough to stand up and say, I want to become president of Nigeria.
Only on CoreTV News.
CoreTV News now provide a platform for live coverage of political rallies and electioneering campaign from anywhere in Nigeria. Political news stories, political editorial reviews, political discussions, personality profile, People's Parliament from the National, State and Local Government Assembly. Contact us now on 0803-471-8550 or 0803-724-9733. 01453-3407.
Our 24-hour news station.
Welcome back. You're still watching Core TV Prime Time News. For more information on our news and other programs, visit us on our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/CoreTVNews. You can also follow us on Twitter. It's at Core TV News NG. And also at YouTube at www.youtube.com/CoreTV/news. Controversies continue to trail the source of attacks on political figures and structures in Ekiti State ahead of the June 21st governorship election. Ayo Fayose, the People's Democratic Party candidate, has laid the case or the course of violence at the doorstep of the Nigerian police, an accusation the Ekiti State Commissioner of Police Felix Uyana describes as tepid. Rashid monitored this development from Ado Ekiti and filed in this report.
Those in Ekiti politics have refused to sheath their swords, and the theater is getting hotter as the People's Democratic Party candidate in the forthcoming governorship election, Ayo Fayose, names the police as prime suspect in the political violence witnessed in the state. This allegation was vehemently opposed by the Ekiti State Police Commissioner, who came in defense of the police operations in the state.
There is no violence except as orchestrated by the referees of this election. I plead with the police to be neutral, do purely police work, and protect this election.
I accuse the police of violence, but we know those who perpetrate violence. Police don't perpetrate violence. It's the political parties and their candidates and their foot soldiers that perpetuate violence.
The former governor went further to accuse the police of connivance with the incumbent government in the arraignment and prosecution of electoral offenders.
The moment you have influence of the chief executive that is consuming the actual officers to carry out those duties, they will be toothless.
You have arrested and arraigned in court over 70 persons in respect of that, and this cut across all the parties. What we will do is that when we arrest you, we take you to court. What happens in the court is left to the judiciary, but we will be called upon anytime we are required.
The rage gets to its height when Ayo Fayose says thugs have been imported to Ekiti by some political parties to cause mayhem and destabilize the June 21st election. and the police are in the know but are doing virtually nothing to check it.
This election is supposed to be rigged on the farmsteads, villages, because thugs have been harbored. All hotels in Ekiti have been hired. We will expect the police to be bold enough to bust these hotels, ask these people where they come from, what is their identity, is this their state?
Police with other security agencies and INEC, especially the State Security Service, Federal Road Safety Corps, Immigration, NDLA, prisons, as well as immigration and others who have been working together under the platform of Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security.
The duo never let down their guards as they both maintained their position.
If I tell you this place is not good police there. Maybe since Yoshe wants to live here, good police there. Don't fence a particular area, block a particular area, and allow crime at your back.
Violence is detected by the leadership of each of the political parties, acting in consonance with the gubernatorial candidates. In other words, it is not the police that creates insecurity. Rather, it is the political parties, the politicians.
With the governorship poll in Ekiti State just days away, the credibility and the outcome of the poll is being put to test by allegations of partisanship on the part of the law enforcement agents. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ado Ekiti.
As the August 9 governorship election in Osun State gradually approaches, a former governor of Osun State and aspirant on the platform of the People's Democratic Party, Isiaka Adeleke, has defected to the All Progressives Congress with some of his loyalists and supporters in the party. The former governor, who was welcomed to the party by the interim national chairman, Bisi Akonde, Ekiti State Governor Kayode Fayemi and Ralph Aregbesola, spoke in Yoruba, describing his joining the APC as returning to where he truly belongs. Some of those who defected with him include Peter Babalola, a former chief of staff to Olagunsoye Onyola, who praised Governor Aregbesola for his dedication to the development of Osun State, which he said was not the case when he was in office.
I've served to the governor for almost 7 years. We didn't perform, not to our fault then, but we didn't know. We didn't know. We didn't take politics or governance as a serious matter. But this guy came and proved to everybody that governance is a serious business. He doesn't sleep. In our own case, by 1 p.m., we are in Ada playing golf. So, the difference is clear.
Division has hit the Labour Party in Osun State as party primaries were held simultaneously at State Secretariat in Osogbo and Leisure Spring Hotel in Egbedore. Tamunoimi Speedy Bote has more in this report.
Labour Party in Osun State has held its primaries. The primary, which held at the Leisure Spring Hotel, had a National Party representative and state INEC officers in attendance. However, former PDP state chairman Fatai Akimbade emerged candidate.
Those of them that are genuinely aggrieved, we've spoken. We've organized a kind of meeting with them. They are already with us. They've returned fully into the party.
At the moment a candidate emerges, everybody will have to come because the authority has spoken. The authority is the national headquarters of the party and has spoken.
Simultaneously, another Labour Party primary is held at Osogbo State Secretariat, where National Party members and INEC officials were conspicuously absent. When CoreTV News asked Secretary Afolabi of the absence of national representatives and INEC officials, he had this to say.
Alhaji Fatai Akebade went ahead to adopt himself without election. But we, the authentic Labour Party, we realize that the best is to conduct the normal election, do the democracy as it's supposed to be, and let the appropriate candidate emerge.
Olaji Bolanhon won the primaries in a democratic manner devoid of rancor and internal chaos.
This form, the nomination form, has to go from local, from state INEC, not national. It is people in the state that nominate a candidate and send it to the national secretariat.
With two factions and two candidates emerging from Labour Party in Osun State, this division is likely to pose danger for the party.
Nigerians have been urged to be more safety conscious while giving attention to their health. This call was made by a group of health and safety experts in Lagos. Bidokoro has details.
Nigerians have been urged to place premium on their health needs and be safety conscious in their immediate environment. Many health hazards and loss of lives are related to neglect of health precautions and safety standards. For this health consultant, Nigerians need to do more to make sure their health needs are promptly attended to.
Our safety consciousness is low. Go to the road. It's just everywhere. Safety conscious, everybody just wants to. We are too much in a hurry. We want to cut corners. We are not patient. We are not orderly. I think that's just the problem.
Speaking in the same vein, Dakpo Omolade highlighted the importance of health and safety education and the increasing awareness amongst Nigerians.
10 years ago, 5 years ago, if you put an advert in the paper for health and safety job or courses, nobody would turn up. But today, there's hardly no day you check through the paper, you don't see something on safety. So the awareness is growing, it's increasing.
The Director General of the Lagos State Safety Commissions, Dominga Odebumi, revealed the state government's plan of raising more awareness for primary health and safety.
We've done quite a number of events by addressing a lot of seminars, workshops, conferences, and these are all free ones, to be able to gather as many people as possible on when we gather at event places or maybe at religious settings. We've also gone out to do a lot of huge sensitization, and this was done across the entire state.
As more awareness are created around the importance of general health and safety, there are hopes that it will increase the development and empowerment of Nigerians in the field of occupational health, safety and environment. Bid Okoro, CoreTV News, Lagos.
You're watching CoreTV Prime Time News. Is Nigeria's fish sufficiency enough to satisfy its teeming population? Find out as we return with business stories and sports. After this timeout, stay with us.
This one wash challenge will test Ariel to see if it removes stains in one wash. Let the challenge begin. First, chocolate and juice. We will wash shirts with Ariel. Look, Ariel has cleaned in just one wash. So which detergent removes stains in one wash? Ariel, P&G Everyday Quality Brand.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ghana. Please remain seated and ensure your seatbelts are fastened. You can now turn on your MTN mobile phone data to enjoy a browsing rate of 5 kobo per kilobyte with MTN One World. Thank you.
Absolutely. Browse like home with MTN One World. Surfing the web from any MTN operating country costs the same like home. Enjoy affordable rates when you call and send text messages. Terms and conditions apply.
MTN, everywhere you go.
Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on Digit 360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.
CoreTV News now provide a platform for live coverage of political rallies and electioneering campaign from anywhere in Nigeria. Political news stories, political editorial reviews, political discussions, personality profile, People's Parliament from the National, State and Local Government Assembly. Contact us now on 0803-471-8550 or 0803-724-9733. 01453-3407.
Our 24-hour news station.
Welcome back. Now to business news. The knowledge gap in the farming of marine fishes such as croaker, mackerel and hake has become apparent as Nigeria moves towards achieving its 67% production sufficiency target. A researcher at the Nigerian Institute of Oceanography and Marine Research, Bola Akonde, however, says croaker, which is one of the imported fish species, can be found in Nigeria's waters, as well as mackerel, though the former is in smaller quantities. The imported fishes are in very high demand, especially at the high-end market. There are concerns about possible shortages in the supply of these treasured species as the country reduces importation by 25% every year for the next 4 years, starting this year. Nigerian yields are expected to go higher as the central bank continues to drain liquidity from the system. Nigeria plans to issue 137.97 billion naira and $848 million worth of treasury bills next June, with maturities ranging from 3 months to 1 year, in its continued bid to rein in inflation and crop speculation on the local currency. Yields could rise by as much as 40 basis points across the curve at the auction. Dealers predicted with 162 naira 65 kobo to a dollar. Kenya's central bank will sell 91 days, 182-day and 364-day treasury bills worth a total of $136.75 million US dollars, with yields seeing little changed from this week's auction. The weighted average yield on the 91-day treasury bills edged down to 8.802% this week from 8.8885% previously, while that for 182-day bills eased slightly to 9.888% from 9.927%. The yield on the 1-year paper was at 10.248%, up from 10.079%. Africa loses $242 billion to corporate income tax exemption and unpaid taxes by companies annually. The executive director, Oxfam International, a non-governmental organization, Winnie Byanyima, disclosed this at the African Rising Conference on Friday in Maputo. She said about $138 billion were lost to corporate income tax exemption, while $104 billion was lost to unpaid taxes by companies operating in the continent yearly. According to her, a balance of $30 billion will still remain out of the money to be used for other development issues. Byanyima attributed the loss of the revenue to absence of legal framework in financial system in Nigeria and called for a change of policy. And in sports, Nigeria's coach Stephen Keshi says he already knows his final 23-man squad for the World Cup, but would wait until June 2nd before unveiling the list. The Super Eagles drew 2-2 with Scotland in an international friendly in London on Wednesday, with Uche Nwofor and Michael Uchebo scoring for the African champions after they fell behind twice. The big boss would take pleasure in the knowledge that Arsenal coach Arsene Wenger has tipped his side to reach the knockout stages due to the team's unity. The team has flown to Philadelphia in the United States ahead their friendly with Greece on June 3. FIFA President Sepp Blatter says he is ready to stand for a 5th term and appealed for a truce in armed conflict around the world with the World Cup, while the World Cup was being played in Brazil. The tournament kicked off on June 12 with the final taking place on July 13 at the Maracana Stadium. Blatter, who originally says his current mandate would be his last after being re-elected for a 4th term in 2011, reveals he would tell the FIFA Congress in Sao Paulo next month that he was willing to stand again if wanted. Defending champion Rafael Nadal overcame a spirited Leonardo Mayer to reach the French Open fourth round. Nadal came through some testing periods before completing a 6-2, 7-5, 6-2 win. And next plays Dusan Lajovic, who beats Jack Sock 6-4, 7-5, 6-3. Ferrer beats Andre Seppi 6-2, 7-6, 6-4 in 3 straight sets to also book his place in the final 16. In the women's draw, ex-Wimbledon champion Petra Kvitova lost to 2009 French Open winner Svetlana Kuznetsova. Kvitova won the first set on a tie break, but was then hampered by a leg injury as she lost 6-7, 3-7, 6-1, 9-7. The leader of South Sudan's rebel, former Vice President Riek Machar, says he is ready to resume peace talks next week in Ethiopia. Speaking after talks in Nairobi with Kenya President Uhuru Kenyatta, Machar also described the nearly 6-month-old conflict in the world's youngest nation as senseless war.
Those who rebelled. It took us time to regroup them into a viable force under control and command. We also have volunteer fighters, civilians who have their own guns and join the war under their own civilian control. So I can't be saying I control all, because I made my points clear to President Uhuru, and he is critical in the mediation, and the statement he made yesterday would give impetus to the peace process, alerted them on the importance of respecting the international humanitarian law. Some will do, some may not, but we'll hold them down to it. We should earn it. 9th of June. I want peace. I don't want it to go longer. There's nothing good in seeing my people displaced, look for refuge in the neighboring countries, or get displaced internally, their properties destroyed, their homes destroyed. There's nothing good in that. We cannot be engaged in perpetual talks. They must end either with a peace agreement or with a disagreement. Salva Kiir, when he left and arrived Juba on the 10th, he went and denounced the paper he signed with me. But I hope the international community will pressurize him to accept peace.
United States Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel has warned Beijing against destabilizing actions in the South China Sea and backed Japan's plans to take on a more muscular security role in Asia. Stressing Washington's commitment to allies and friends in Asia, Hagel called for a peaceful resolution of international disputes and issued a blunt message to China, represented by a high-level military delegation at the forum in Singapore. Hagel says China has undertaken unilateral actions asserting its claims in the South China Sea.
The United States has been clear and consistent. We take no position on competing territorial claims, but we firmly oppose any nation's use of intimidation, coercion, or the threat of force to assert those claims. We also oppose any effort by any nation to restrict overflight or freedom of navigation, whether from military or civilian vessels, from countries big or small. The United States will not look the other way when fundamental principles of the international order are being challenged. All nations of the region, including China, have a choice to unite and recommit to a stable regional order, or to walk away from that commitment and risk the peace and security that has benefited millions of people throughout the Asia Pacific and billions of people around the world.
Three people have been killed in the capital of the Central African Republic in violence coming just days after a deadly church attack in which 27 people were kidnapped. The victims were thought to have been killed after peacekeepers opened fire on thousands of anti-government protesters. The deeply impoverished, majority Christian country has been racked by restless or relentless tit-for-tat attacks between Christian vigilante groups and the mainly Muslim ex-Seleka rebels who seized control in a coup last year but were forced from power in January. Burundian troops belonging to the African Union's MISCA peacekeeping force fired on armed demonstrators. They're accused of trying to force their way into their base. Thousands of people gathered across Bangui on Friday, calling for the interim government to be removed and accusing international forces of failing to prevent Wednesday's church attack. Meanwhile, the United Nations says death toll from the assault on the church, where some 9,000 displaced people had taken shelter, has increased to 17. And just before we wrap up, here is a summary of our major stories. We told you that President Goodluck Jonathan met with the President of Mali, Muhammadu Keita, in continuation of consultations to solve the problems of insurgency. We also brought you a report that PDP candidate in next month's governorship election in Ekiti State, Ayo Fayose, and Commissioner of Police Felix Uyana traded blame over recurrent violence ahead poll. And that's our show for tonight. Thank you for watching. Join us again tomorrow. I am Gift Ogete. Good night.